Welcome back to the show, Anne. It's such a treat to have you.
It's lovely to be here.
So tell me, how has your perspective shifted in midlife? I think as we grow and we develop and we have more experiences, a lot of things change on our viewpoints and what have you. And especially with your trajectory, with all the different things you've done in your career, it's just so interesting to think about what is it that has really shifted for you over these past few decades?
Really, that I am the captain of my own ship. I have every agency. The only agent that is stopping me is myself. And the world truly is my oyster. And it's all about the time is now, because if not now, nothing is guaranteed. Even when we were much younger, nothing was guaranteed, but it certainly isn't guaranteed now. And that's fine because I don't know, just being a more fully realized human being, there's more out there and there's more I can enjoy and appreciate things more because life is just so precious.
And I'm curious also for you as you think about this, like life being more precious and, what is ahead for you. I think so many people in midlife can get a little stuck on what is behind us, the past, and I hear you saying with this of looking forward and what's ahead. And how do you keep that hopeful perspective around it?
It's come naturally because I think I lived a lot of my younger life. I forced myself out, but I was really not out. So I don't know. Life has just gotten easier for me as I have gone along, and just I suppose it's experience and it's finding you find patterns. And I've been in a situation like this before. I'm not to say that nothing more exciting can ever happen, but there are patterns to just how things go and how people behave and interact. And I will be safe no matter what, because I trust that. I trust myself. I trust the universe. We're not alone. And we can always ask for help. Mr. Rogers and the Find the Helpers. And we're not afraid to ask anymore. I'm not afraid. I think that's the main thing. I am not afraid.
That's so big. The things that we feared when we were younger, it's like you hear from so many midlife women, you're like, I just don't care anymore. Not that I don't care on how I show up or what have you, but I don't care what other people think or what people want from me whenever it's like I need to really focus on taking care of myself. So I love that. And the removal of fear is big, right? Because we have the wisdom.
Yes. Yes. And we know things are going to turn out fine. And really, it's just down to us. I know we can't control everything, but we can certainly make things tilt things to come more in the direction that we want them to go.
Yes. Yeah. And with that, as you think about your own life and your journey, how have you been able to tilt things in the way you want them to go? Because I love what you're saying too about things will work out. Okay, things may not always be the way we want them to go, but we'll get through it. And we know that based on our past and our sense of resilience.
On Pinterest, making a private vision board, so easy to do. And it's just amazing. It's almost freaky, the things that have come true. And some of them were within my power. Yes, go to France. That's just get a ticket and get on the thing and go. But other things were not within my power. For instance, one of them was I wanted to do more speaking kind of things. And I got an invitation to be a narrator on a panel at a Polycon, which you may have heard of because that's in Maryland. It's a big literary festival. And that was just at the beginning of April.
Nice.
That came out of the blue and was beautiful. And that, I don't know, that was putting that image out there. I don't know. I'm going off into a kind of a tangent. Oh.
No, but that's great. And I think a lot of listeners can relate to that of wanting to get clear on putting out into the universe what it is they want more of in their lives. So that's a beautiful example. And I've seen too that Canva, I don't know if you play in
Yeah.
Canva at all, but there's also kind of vision board templates and things to work with. So I love that idea because I tend to be more paper and tearing and things like
Yeah.
that and collage, but we can do that digitally and we have access to way more images. Great example.
And it's so simple that you just see the image and then you click on it and the choice to put it on your Pinterest board comes right up, just like that. And there it is.
Yeah, it's like magic.
It is magic and it makes magic.
Yes, yes. Is there anything else you put on there that has come to fruition or you're excited about?
There's so many things. Like, some of it was many were within my agency. One was to get an Irish passport, which I got. Speaking thing. Oh gosh, now I can't think. Now I'm on the spot. I wanted to do more writing, so I put somebody at a desk and nice little picture of that, and that's come into my life. Then I found a creative writing class. I started looking at. I love libraries, and I get a newsletter. I think it's weekly or monthly or whatever it is, from many different libraries, but particularly honing in on my local one, and the things that they have. So I looked at that and I saw that there was I think, was it called Planet or something? It's some national program that's free and it goes on for several months. And so that became a Saturday morning venture just down to my local library, and a group that it did change a little bit, but there were a core of people that stayed from the beginning to the end. And now it's going on because one of the class members is keeping it going. In that class, there was always, you could always write whatever you wanted to write if you had a project, and there was always a prompt. And the prompts always prompted me to write about some story from my life. So within that hour, and while other people, there was like NaNoWriMo, I think it stopped, but that writers getting together online or whatever in November, there's something about being in a room, either virtually or not, but you're just aware that other people are creating and they're working furiously or just creatively within this hour. And that brings some kind of energy. So I was amazed at what I would write within that hour, and got several chapters for a memoir, just the ideas of things. And so that's been very valuable. And I must pursue it. And then it'd go down the rabbit hole of how do you become a writer? And that's a Wild Westy thing, isn't it? And it's not cheap. Everything I look at is tens of thousands of dollars. And yeah, again, it's all buyer beware, isn't it? But so that is something that goes to legacy. I feel I must, after I have read so many people's words have passed through my body, I want to leave my written document of my life and times. And I'd like to write a memoir, but not just have it a memoir, maybe bring it into up to date of my career path and what I do now and how you can do that too. Because coming from all these different things, that you really can do whatever you want to do, especially in America.
Yes, you're right. The path to being a writer, quite the journey. And yet you're already a writer. Everyone's a writer. Everyone writes, right? So do we really have to take all these specialty courses and what have you? And there's a lot of great books out there for $20 that will really help with the journey also. Because I know there's a lot. And I've just found after going to all these writing retreats and things like that over the years, it's like, why don't I just sit down and stay home and write? Because it's not like I'm getting any particular gem that is like the magic bullet that I think I'm always looking for.
Yes.
And so sometimes it's just sit down, get out your pen, or actually sit at the computer and do it. I think for me too, having a regular blog on Substack that I feed, that is also great because it keeps up my writing practice. And so I found that for a lot of people, having something that's just regular, even if it's just like a weekly letter you're writing to your family virtually, or digitally, there's just something about that I think helps to hone those muscles.
Yes. So that writing class did, and just being around other creative people. And that's going to go forward. There was a little bit of a break there, but I'm going to go on with that. But it fascinates me that you would be going on retreats and things, like you say, because you know it. You 7 books or whatever. You're a many times published author. You know how the system works. Because even beyond the writing is only a part of it. It's a whole
Yeah.
industry, and you know more than I do about getting published is not necessarily a simple thing.
Well, but the great thing is everyone can get published now, right? If they do want to do self-publishing. And if you think about it too, like publishing a blog or doing a Substack, that is, you are publishing. But I understand what you're saying. Yes, it's a whole journey. And I think too, it's constantly evolving. So then you have to really stay up to date with everything that changes. But yeah, I'm excited for you. I think that'll be really interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's a new journey.
Yeah, it's exciting and on the vision board, which I love. So tell us a little bit about your kind of self-care practices, Anne, and how those have evolved in midlife for you. What are your go-to things?
Health is everything to me. And so sleep is the foundation of everything, and easier said than come by. And that will go up and down in people's lives. I don't have any surefire tips. And I need to take a leaf out of my own book too, because I should go to bed a lot earlier, and I don't tend to go before midnight. And I know my whole world would change, but I need that little thing that I'm not doing everything 100% perfectly, because otherwise there wouldn't be anything, there wouldn't be any magic left in a kind of a way. You know, if I was doing everything absolutely perfectly. But talking about doing things perfectly and as relates to health, last year I had a bone, the DEXA scan.
DEXA. Yep.
Yes, for the osteoporosis thing. And everything I'm going to say, I do have a nursing background, but everything I say is just my experiences. And because my main message is for everybody to really look into everything medically, that any advice that we're given, just look into it. Any medications that we're given, look at that leaflet or bits of paper that come from CVS or whatever, because not related to bones, but to other things. There was an antibiotic I was given once, and I just happened to, I don't always look at the information that comes, the warnings or the cautions, whatever they're called. And with this one particular antibiotic that you would think would be a fairly benign thing, I can't remember exactly. And I'm not going to say what the drug is. I honestly don't remember. But it was something along the lines of, one of these tablets can cause this, this, and this, which were potentially life-changing things. An antibiotic, one pill, either pretty much as soon as you take it or weeks, months, years down the line. So that's one thing. But anyway, back to the DEXA scan thing. So I had that, and I didn't get a good report. Wasn't the worst report. It was a strange report. I have osteoporosis very mildly on my strong side, and osteopenia, which is the stage where you're maybe going towards it. On my weaker side, my left side, I'm right-handed. It was a complete and utter shock of seismic proportions to me, because I looked at it as, this is a report, my midlife health, and I consider health my whole life, my midlife report card, and I have failed.
Mhm.
So the first advice I was given was very pharmacologically based, and I knew nothing about it, because first of all, I was in a state of shock and I knew nothing. So I received what I was told. And then I thought, let me go and investigate that for myself. And then I found that for the areas in my body, I don't have it everywhere, but for the areas that I have it, the particular drug that was being suggested to me was not going to have any effect on that body part. It would affect other parts of the body that it didn't have it in. So that's one thing. I had no idea that these drugs could be more specific for a particular body part. So say you have it in your hip and you're being given something that isn't going to help your hip, it would help your spine that you don't have an issue in. That's what I'm saying. So that's a huge thing I had no clue about. I had no clue that there wasn't, you go to a particular kind of doctor to get expert up to the minute advice on this condition. It's anybody you like. It could be your gynecologist, it could be your family medicine person, it could be an endocrinologist, it could be an osteopath. That's not, I can't think what they're called. Orthopod. Anyway, nobody claims it, but it's highly lucrative. And once you begin some of these medications, there is no going back. And so there are, this is not these can be life-changing steps that you either take or you don't take. Some of the side effects of the different medications can be spontaneous fracture, something that you may never fall. So that's a gamble there. There's so much to look into it, and there's so many different drugs and ways of coming at it. So we'll leave that aside. That's big pharma, and that's great. What was not really mentioned to me or stressed as how important it was the basics that I can control. I'm not a great exerciser. I look very healthy, but I really don't. So it's all about lifting weights, not to be a bodybuilder, but to muscles are pulling on bones. So the stronger your bones, your muscles are, that will help your bones. Another thing that comes along in midlife, we will all visit supposedly there's a big bone loss occurs at menopause for everybody. And then there's 1% or whatever it is every year if we're not taking active steps, which can just be diet and exercise. So we can do these things. So then when you get to the exercise portion, finding out what exercises are going to help give me the best bang for my buck. So swimming is not a great one. And certain strokes, the breaststroke, I think gives more impact than the crawl. But it's really trying to lift weights and jumping on a trampoline. So I got myself a rebounder, which is that, and that has been a big for how to find tranquility in the everyday. I jump on that and I would watch a lot of your podcasts while I'm jumping, Kimberly. And so I'm giving my cardiovascular system a workout. I'm getting blood to my brain. I'm getting blood everywhere. And I'm telling my blood, because how it's a big thing that how your bones are being made. But what I think many of us don't realize is they are constantly being remodeled throughout our life. So they're being built up and broken down as natural processes. We have bone cells that build and bone cells that remodel and do those kinds of things. So this impact of and it's so easy to do on a rebounder that, that the bouncing will tell those bone cells, we want you to keep going. Don't give up. Don't give up on me. I want you to keep manufacturing. And that can be very significant. It is not insignificant, the things that we can do ourselves. Make sure that we're getting the right amount of calcium. And then just so you go online and look at what you're eating. And the goal is, your doctors will tell you, somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200. Here's an important thing that I didn't know. That's different information from when I was younger. When I was in my 30s, it was all take calcium. You just did. And at a point I didn't, because the calcium I was taking was one that contained iron, that I hadn't really looked at the label. Again, caveat emptor, I hadn't looked at the label, and I ended up in a stage where I had too much iron from my calcium supplement, and blood had to be taken and thrown away. And then I just didn't take it because I thought, forget that. And then by the time that I considered the calcium question, the whole information given to people has changed. So now it is try and get as much as you can of that 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams daily in your diet. That's fine. But if you're taking an excess of it in pill form, it can be going to the wrong places. It can be going into your arteries and lots of places where we really don't want it. So that's a huge piece of information that I hadn't considered. And for protein, to make our diets protein forward is extremely important. We need more and more protein as we go along, as long as we don't have certain medical conditions that would indicate that. So for vegans such as yourself, Kimberly, that's tricky, but it's not impossible, but it takes a lot more planning. Because I was way behind on the protein, and I do eat a little bit of meat here and there. But even at that, I was sadly lacking. So I had a lot of things to do to pull my bootstraps up.
Yes.
And the proof about all that is in the pudding, because the test is usually done about every 2 years. So I have another year to wait. But significant gains can be made it's going to take about a year. So none of these things are going to be an overnight fix. Prunes are also big. They recommend eating about, I know, who knew? 6 prunes have got something in it, potassium, or I don't know what it is. And this is, I think, even an NIH this is well respected. This isn't just folk wisdom. This is out there in the literature about bones have been proven to make a difference in your bone quality. And another important thing to say about bones is we tend to we get the calcium message. And even at that, calcium would only strengthen the bone. But you could have strong bones that will break, almost like, think of your nails. You could have very strong nails, but they have no moisture, they have no life. So there's a lot more to bones. There's tensile strength and all kinds of components beyond the strength of them that is important, that they won't fracture.
Yeah. Wow. There's so much. Yeah. So much to think about. And you do hear, Anne, so much. I started hearing this maybe in my early to mid 40s of strength training, strength training. I'm like, who wants to do strength training? It is really emphasized, and that makes sense. It's like the muscles pull on the bone and that helps strengthen. I have my little 3-pound weights over there, Anne. I try. But yeah, it's hard. Or those resistance bands are really great too. I don't know if you use those at all, that those can be really nice.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm still not. Oh, and another thing, so when I was trying to find what are the best things I can be doing for myself, I found locally that there are people that specialize in all of this, and there are machines that you can sit on and you go through various pushing, pulling, about 5 different maneuvers. I'm sure that they vary from, but I mean, it's just not 20 situations that you have to be in. It takes a very short amount of time to go on these machines with a trainer, and you go through the motions, and that has been proven to build bones. There are also vibrating plates. There's a lot of things. Everything is controversial, pretty much. There's low vibration, there's high vibration, and I step on their high vibration plate once a week. But haven't invested in one for myself because I'm doing the trampolining every day. I enjoy that.
Yeah. How long do you do it? Like 10
Uh,
minutes or?
it started off, I had just a very inexpensive little one that really, it was making it seem much more effortful. There was no give in it because it was almost like bouncing on concrete. There wasn't much give in it. So when I thought, look, this really isn't working out, why am I so puffed out and exhausted? I got a better one, but still well under $200. And I don't know if you can say, I could give you that information another time if you want to share it, what the particular one that I'm using that's quite inexpensive from Amazon. I don't know what the rules and regulations are about what we can say. I also recommend that for starting off, you can get ones that have a little bar that you put on, and you just, so you feel that security. So I started off on my little bad one, and I could only do maybe 2 minutes. So you start off about 2 minutes anyway, and just see how you go, and then you build it up. But with my better one, I can go for 20 minutes.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay. And it's
I'd like. I mean, it's not fatiguing to me, but it is giving my cardiovascular system a complete workout. And
yeah.
the other thing too about the importance of what is it? It's not force. Impact.
Impact.
The
Yeah.
impact of it without being a weight is that it does also help your muscles. I think it helps with the pelvic floor. It helps with your intestines, it helps with all kinds of everything. But there's a thing called sarcopenia that, along with the potential osteoporosis, osteopenia, this sarcopenia is our muscles tend to want to get less as we get older. So all of these things are helping to keep those.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. So interesting. Yeah. And I think it is just helpful reminders for all of us. Because when do we start getting DEXAs? I got mine, I guess, at 50, maybe 49. That's around the time, right?
No, 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 no,
No.
no, no. For most people, that the insurance will pay, it's 65. At
Oh.
50, if you break a bone or there's something more along, maybe a person is suspected of having a more fragile bone.
I see. Yeah, because I got mine because my GP was just like, since my femur broke during surgery, or cracked, it didn't break, cracked during surgery. She says, let's just check out your bones. And they were great. I don't know. I think it's just the impact of him putting the implant into my femur cracked it, which I think they have to be quite rough. It happens. But yeah, so I guess that's why we did it. So I just assumed, oh, it's something you do at 50, but I was an anomaly. Yeah, of course. Let me ask you too, one of the things you brought up earlier around legacy, which I really, really like that as something that we start thinking about more in midlife. And that we, as you say, I want to leave a legacy, like with memoir, and you having told, as a beautiful narrator, you have been telling other people's stories for years. And so tell me a little bit more about how legacy is showing up for you and how you're thinking about it at this stage of life.
it came to me in that writing class that I began,
Ah.
that all the prompts that I was getting, that could have been anything from almost a fairy tale kind of a prompt to whatever it was because the easy thing, obviously, is not for me to start creating a story. It's to tell my own story. And each of those prompts was just calling into my heart or spirit something about my own story. Oh, that reminds me of such and such a thing that happened. And then I would spend the hour writing about that. So it came to me, that was inspiration. It truly was, that this is something that you need to be doing. That has brought that to my mind because I don't think I'm the typical midlife person. I'm much further along the path than you are. I'm much older than you are, Kimberly. I'm still very much feeling I'm in my prime working time. So 95% of my energy, because I'm in a field that is not a 9 to 5 job. I don't have a job if I haven't gone out to find one, or people have come to me, or I'm only as good as my last job. It's not a fire hose. So most of my creative energy goes in finding my work and doing my work and just work in general. So there's not much creative spirit left over because now, too, being an audiobook narrator, once upon a time, it was enough. Just that was the job. But now it isn't. It's social media. It's communications. It's a whole empire of things to do. So I don't have a great deal of creativity left over. But through that, looking around under my feet and looking at my library message that came in my email, and then finding, oh, because I was looking for something that I could do. Gardening is another thing. In fact, yesterday, in the evening, there was a gardening class at the library that I wanted to go to, but it was too busy. There was too many things. My husband even bought a car, a secondhand car. Yeah, there was a lot going on. But another one will come. So I don't know, I feel like I put myself out into the universe and then I try to be open to receive what is coming to me. And for many years, I was overlooking those library letters, and heaven only knows what other messages from on high I've been ignoring. But the portals are opening, but there's just only so much creative energy left. So I think writing I definitely need to write my story, and that would be a legacy because my voice is out there. So my heart needs to be out there too.
Yeah, yeah. And I love your mention of gardening because it is a wonderful way to leave a legacy. And even right as we've been talking, there's a robin, there's probably multiple robins, but they just keep coming in and out of the garden. And I don't know, it's just so lovely and to see the flowers. And there's something about that that's quite inspiring. And what I have heard with a lot of women that I've interviewed is people have really gotten into birds as they've gotten older. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, look at this. And I had a blue jay visit. I've never seen a blue jay in Washington, D.C. I had a blue jay visit recently in my garden. And it's like things that I wouldn't have even noticed in the past that now I get so delighted about. So there's something very sweet about that.
Yes.
And one of the things, and I'm just going to pull up my list for you, because the one other things I wanted to ask you about is really because you started talking about this before we began recording about what would your future self thank you for today. And so I thought that might be a good thing for us to close on and thinking about that. For you just to share a little bit more about what was coming up for you when you mentioned that and you looking ahead for yourself.
It's a lot of what I've already said. I hate to be a broken record, but the exercising, the take my own note about get sleep. Sleep is just the foundation of everything. Look to my diet. I do that daily. And there's always room for improvement. It's all the things. It's about trying to hold down on what I want and moving in that direction. Just being more self-aware and being positive and not wasting time on beating myself up for what I am not, I'm never going to be, all the things I didn't do. Pat myself on the back for the things I did do and how I have shown up in life. And here I am, and talking with a wonderful lady like you because I reached out. And there's so much that we can do. And these are all things that our future selves can thank us for.
Yes, yes. And just I love what you're saying, and I think it's such an important reminder of okay, the basics, right? You think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So you're like, okay, these are the basics that are so important, but also adding in positive mindset and self-awareness. And I think we become more and more self-aware of really listening to our bodies as we age. Sometimes because they're screaming, because we really have to listen to them, right? But oftentimes too, it's just so you recognize, wow, that doesn't feel very good in my body for some reason. Or after I ate that, I just didn't feel great. You just
Yeah,
pay attention in a way that on subtleties that maybe we didn't necessarily in the past. And there's something really beautiful about that.
there is. And I think another thing that's just come to me
Yeah.
that I do, tune out the noise.
Yes.
Everything is a hobby horse, for want of a better word. Health is a hobby horse out there. When you get into the onto the internet, everybody has a kind of a song, a tune to play, kind of a thing. You have to think for yourself. So tune out the noise, inform yourself, and then decide, yes, I'm going with this. No, I don't take along with that. Just to yourself, be true. Just march to your own drum, be informed, but then just be confident. We know now who we are. We know the kinds of things that we want. We know what sounds good. And of course, always be flexible. And I don't know, I just feel as if I'm 30 something, and I just feel like the world is opening up more than it's closing down. And I
Yes.
don't hear that so much from other people because we're
Right.
on what is coming to us, that we can
Yes.
be visible. I don't feel invisible. I've never been more visible in my whole life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such a great reminder. I'm sorry, I don't know. Can you hear Mookie making sounds in the background? He sounds like a
No.
cow. You don't hear it? Oh, good. I'm so glad. Because I'm like, why is he doing this now? But yeah, he howls whenever he's looking for Tim. Anyway, meanwhile, I'm right here. I'm chop liver. He's like howling because he doesn't see Tim. Anyway, but I'm glad that wasn't picked up. But now the listeners do know that it was happening. So if you heard a weird noise in the background, it's not Anne or I. Okay, or me, Anne or me. I can never remember. But thank you so much, Anne. It's such a treat to connect. And listeners, I'll have a link to our previous podcast, which was a few years ago. And any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners on tranquility in the everyday or things that you've learned on your journey as we wrap up today?
Oh, I don't know. Because I've said it all, haven't I? Just trust yourself. Things are going to turn, they have turned out fine. They're going to be better. The best is yet to come. I think that's it. The best is yet to come. Just trust. Trust and do. Don't just blindly sit back. That's for the doers. We can't all be doers in the world. The doers in the world will do, and the thinkers will think. But I think just to be positive about it all. It's all good.
Yeah.
It really is. And it might not seem it at the time, but it usually is.
It makes me think of the great quote by Sarah Ban Breathnack, which is from Simple Abundance. And she says, the world needs dreamers and the world needs doers. But above
Yeah.
all, the world needs dreamers who do.
Oh,
So I
right.
think it's such a great way to close today. Thank you so much, Anne, for being with us. It's a treat.
Oh, it was a delight to be with you, Kimberly. Thank you. I love you.